What's up, everybody? You are now tuned into Entwine Couture presents the BAN's Guide to all things fierce, fabulous, and fly. And today we are talking about the Curly Girls RX to winter weary hair. It's me. I'm your host, Brittany Oniki. I'm so happy to be back here. It's been a while since we've been on air. And I'm so super excited to have a new timer to the panel, Miss Ife, and wonderful, wonderful hairstylist extraordinaire. We've missed you on the chat, Miss Elise J. So I'm
I
just going to
miss you
go ahead
too.
and give you guys a second to introduce yourselves to our Entwine Couture audience. And Ife, we're going to start with you. Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi everyone, my name is Ife. I am new to the Entwine family, so happy to be here.
Hi, everybody. I am Elise Janae. I'm Entwine's lead stylist, and I own Hair Love Art in Chicago.
Cool. Well, so Ife, where are you joining us from? What city are you in?
I'm in New York.
Oh, okay. Shout out to the New Yorkers. I'm from
Hey.
New York. So wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so it's a lot going on, and I feel so torn, right? It's the holiday season. I'm trying to follow live. Got my Christmas tree up. I'm trying to be happy and festive. There's so many things going on that we could talk about in Hot Topics. So before I jump into a lot of the serious issues that are affecting the Black community, I want to say a couple things. First, shout out to Mama Day. Hey girl, we're sending you positive energy, love, and light, and I hope your daughter feels better soon. She's also missing from the panel. So she's definitely the firecracker that keeps all the energy going. But secondly, I just want to know, what do you guys want to talk about? Like, what is on your mind? It's the last 2 weeks of 2014. We're coming into 2015. I want to start on an up note, right? There's a lot going on. So let's say if you guys are setting any personal goals for 2015, what are those goals? Anybody?
Well, I have a few financial goals that I've set for myself for 2015. So, I hope to achieve those. I'm going to India in April for a girlfriend's wedding.
Hey.
So super excited about that.
Awesome.
But, just continuing to be positive and, pushing forward. Pushing forward.
Awesome. What about you?
Well,
Babe?
2013 and 2014 have done a doozy to me, but there have also been some great blessings in those years. So I'm looking forward to 2015 being my year of more, being my year of increase and of just greater blessings. I think 2015 is about to be where the shell just opens and everything emerges. I definitely have some financial goals. I have some travel goals because I actually live in Atlanta and I work in Chicago. So my goal is to finally open in Atlanta and in Northern California. Yay for Atlanta! And I'm be able to be home more. But just really living the good life in 2015, not stressing, not having anxiety of my control.
Awesome. How's the baby?
He's wonderful. I just got to see him today.
Good, 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 good. Yeah, I think my goals are similar. I think I've definitely been on a personal growth journey, like a journey of self-discovery and rediscovery and renewal. And so I think my goals are less concrete and specific and just more just continuing on the path that I've been on, just like spiritually reading, just continuing to learn and grow. I'm really into like Deepak Chopra meditations these days. I think I'm gonna keep going in that vein, and hopefully I'll draw other people to me and kind of build my community. Just a fellow people who just kind of want to live life in that way. Like you said, just not stress about things that we can't control and like not focus on small stuff. Kind of just focus on people and love and community. I sound like a hippie, but yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of really where I am in
Nothing wrong with that.
2015. I think that's where we're headed. That's where I'm going. So now that we put this positive energy out, oh, let's take a deep breath in Wusa and let's talk about some things that I know have been heavy on our hearts. And I know Mama Day wanted to talk about this, but police brutality in Ferguson, Missouri, and even Eric Garner in New York, and countless others, honestly, as the weeks have gone by since the Ferguson verdict was announced. And in case you guys are joining in and you're watching us, you are now tuned into Entwine Couture Presents the Curly Girls RX to Winter Weary Hair. And we are just talking about hot topics and talking about police brutality and the things that affect the Black community. And in case you just want a recap, and if you haven't heard, a grand jury in Ferguson, Missouri decided not to indict, and I can't even remember the officer's name, so I haven't,
Darren
thank
Wilson.
you. Darren Wilson. They decided not to indict Darren Wilson for the murder of Michael Brown. And I just think for me, on so many levels, it hurt because at the very least, there should have been a trial, I think. And I just feel like to not even deem it worthy to put him on trial and have him defend his actions and hold him accountable is, I think, what really hurt me the most. And the same in New York. Again, with Eric Garner, the excessive force, the I can't breathe, the you are killing me, literally, and that police officers are abusing their power. And I think there's a fine line between restraint and excessive force and then downright murder. So that's my 2 cents. I believe that we have JD joining us now on the chat. Are you there? I see a background, but until I see her lovely face pop up, you guys can go ahead and chime in and just share your thoughts and how you felt when the verdict went down and how you guys feel about this particular situation that's plaguing the Black community.
I feel like it's a very scary proposition to love Black men these days as a Black woman. Things are happening to Black women, as we've seen, I think with the Renisha McBride case, where women are being mistreated by police also. But it's very scary to be the mother of an almost 3-year-old Black boy that I know is going to be tall and handsome and possibly one of those men that is feared by the police, and to love a Black man who, when he leaves, I'm scared that something's going to happen out in the world. But I think all we can do is really continue to do what we are doing. The fact that we are making our voices heard, disturbing people's routines, we're affecting the economy of these corporations. These are the ways that we get listened to, and our concerns start to matter to the people who are making the laws, who are in power, who are making the decision. Because really, it's not fair that the police get to investigate themselves and say that they have done nothing wrong.
Right.
And so I think as we continue to do this advocacy, those things will change, hopefully, for the better.
Great point, Elise. I think we have JD joining us now. JD, can you hear me? Are you there?
I can. I'm here.
So can you just go ahead and give our viewers just a little bit of a rundown and a background about you and introduce yourself before you join the chat?
Sure. J.D. Richards. I've been a hairstylist for 31 years. I've been an educator with L'Oreal USA for 24 years. I've traveled all over the country and abroad teaching others hair care, understanding hair from the beginning to the end, chemistry-wise, as well as how the fiber is actually made. I'm now working with Jonathan, with Entwine, and really wanting to educate naturalistas on how to take care of their hair so that they can love it even more. And the journey continues.
Awesome. So I'm so excited. So guys, if you are out there watching us on YouTube, call your friends, put it on Instagram, Facebook. We're hashtag Entwine Couture, at Entwine Couture. This is information that you do not want to miss out. Where else can you get 20 plus years of industry experience on hair care? Awesome. So go ahead and spread the word and join our live chat. So JD, in case you missed what we were talking about current events and just talking about our thoughts on a grand jury's decision not to indict the officer in Ferguson, Missouri in the Michael Brown case. And everyone was just kind of sharing their thoughts and opinions about what this does to the climate of the Black community.
Well, you know, in hearing that and really trying to hear both sides and understand it, it is very heartbreaking for me because having 5 stepsons of my own, it brings it home to me in a way like never before, because I'm always concerned, you know, about them, and just to see how it just was kind of just taken as something that just wasn't important. It just felt like to me they just kind of threw it to the side, and this is just the way it happened. It was very heartbreaking to me, and since then I have heard of so many other situations that are just as bad or even worse in a sense. And it just lets me know that we have a lot to do as African Americans and really trying to understand where we are now and what it is that we need to do to move forward, to have our voices heard. So it was very heartbreaking for me.
Likewise. Aoife, do you have any comments that you'd like to add?
I mean, you know, it like Denise was saying, you know, it's disgusting. I mean, I can't put it any more simply than that. That the value of a black life is nowhere near in comparison to one of, you know, any other race, and that we can literally just be wiped off the face of the earth without any sort of judicial ramifications for the person, you know, that does it. So, you know, and I see it pretty much every single day, right in the subways, you know, with people not having, you know, the $2.50 to pay the fare, so they hop the turnstile, but, you know, the cop is right there waiting for them. And 9 times out of 10, that face is black. So, you know, it's just sad. And, you know, as a young woman, it makes me rethink, you know, 1.5 kids even, honestly. So, and that's sad.
What's the direction do you think we take as a community going forward? Like, what is the common goal? Is it restructuring of the police force? Is it more black police officers? Is it more activism? If you guys would think about what would the next step be going forward to try to affect change, what do you guys think that would be?
I think, one, we can start with demilitarizing the police. The police are here to definitely serve and protect. And right now, they're neither serving nor protecting entire communities. They are harassing and over-enforcing in those communities. I think there definitely needs to be more education given to police officers. We find that they're now looking at police officers within a certain IQ range that don't have college degrees. That I'm not saying that police officers are stupid, but that sometimes lack the critical thinking and capacity to go beyond just physical brute force in situations. And so I think the way that we look at policing in the U.S. needs to change. And I know that that's a tall order. But as we continue with our activism, as we continue with our economic activism, as long as our money is talking, our voices will be heard.
Agreed. Anybody else have any final comments before we move into another?
You know, it's always a thing too, as a lot of times they're always talking about how our young men dress, and they are being labeled before they are being spoken to even see what they are about. There are so many different things that is going on now. I have a son that is a fireman, and he's just telling me about all of the different situations that they are in, and most of the time it's because of just judgment. So they need to, as she said, have more education and not to be so fearful of a person just because they're black. And that seems to be the crust of most of it, is that they're afraid of people because of them being a black male in America.
I often wonder if it would make more of a difference if there was a policing of a community by officers that look at the members of the community. So I don't know what the statistics are as to how many African American men and women join the police force every year, but I think that might make a difference if the officers kind of looked like you had a certain connection to the community. Then I think maybe that would make a difference. What do you guys think? No?
I don't think that makes a difference, because once you're a police officer, you're a brother in love, and you are part of that fraternity / gang / affiliation over whatever affiliations you've had before. And this is in talking to and debating with some of the police in my life, and I think it starts with an overhaul of what that organization's mores are, over someone being of the same skin tone or part of the same community.
Yeah, I think it has more to do with the education and their training, because with a lot of these instances, and half of them, you know, don't even really make it to the news, but you know, it just seems like the enforcement of certain punishments are escalating from that being, you know, going from 0 to 100, you know, and someone ending up with a, you know, a gun in their face or being shot. So I feel like if they had better training and better education on how to mediate a certain situation, that, you know, when they are feeling in danger but still remaining or being the people empowered in the sense that, you know, they can accelerate a situation better without having to draw their gun, you know, would be better served.
JD, what do you think our role is in our own community as it relates to black on black crime? What do you think that our role is first in our community before we ask for change on the police force? What can we do ourselves?
Well, first of all, I think education is always the key to anything. And even with my sons and my nephews and so forth, because I have a lot of them, we have talked to them about how to carry themselves, you know, when they're in a situation. And I think to educate them, it's a powerful tool. And I also think it has a lot to do with the part of the country you're in and the police chiefs and et cetera, because there is an African American police chief here. And in Tennessee, where I am, they're really trying to make a change as far as educating African American youth. Because if we don't educate them to the best of our ability, I don't see it ending anyway soon. And me being a female as it comes to in relationship with a lot of different men in the community, be it those with the NAACP and so forth. What they're trying to do is to link together and to show brotherhood and getting with these young men and really trying to educate them on even the way that they have been dressing, to change the way that they dress, you know, just different things. And it's really sad that we have to go to that degree, but those are just some of the things that I see happening now. And is it going to help? It just kind of depends on the situation and the circumstance.
I agree. And in talking about education and what it is that we can do first ourselves in the black community, I also want to segue into something else, and specifically now addressing black women. So I know reality TV, love it or hate it, there's a lot of talk now in the media, social media, radio, about the portrayal of black women on reality TV. At first it was the Housewives and Love and Hip Hop, but now the newest crop of black women on television, not portraying themselves so lovely, are college-educated sorority sisters. So I'm not in a sorority, so let me just say that first and foremost. But I think the question begs itself. How much allegiance do we really have to each other anymore in terms of an African American community? And how many people really just want to be overnight celebrities and overnight sensations and just be on television? I think a lot of times we sit back on the other side of TV and we watch TV and we go, oh my gosh, she's not portraying herself very well. You know, she's from Atlanta. I live in Atlanta. I don't want people to think that women in Atlanta behave that way. Or I graduated from Clark Atlanta. I don't want people to think that all women who graduated from Clark Atlanta behave that way. And then on the other side of that coin, those individuals are merely looking out for themselves as individuals, and they're not thinking about community. So how do we kind of rectify that, where as a group we feel embarrassed, for lack of a better word, but then you're always going to have individuals who are just going to go after their own goals and they're not thinking about community? So does that mean that our focus or should change or shift in terms of what our real of what our expectations truly are from each other?
Well, there's a couple of points that you're saying. One, we're some of the only community that is based, everybody is based off of a specific portrayal. We don't say that every Caucasian American is like the Jersey Shore, or like the real world or road rules. Or I'm probably dating myself at this present moment because I have no clue what the VH1 or MTV lineup is right now. Also, I am not also not in a sorority either. But I did go to an HBCU. I went to FAMU from 2001 to 2007, graduated and everything. And I think some of the portrayals that we see on TV are very accurate. I mean, people are definitely looking out for themselves and maybe not necessarily for the community. But up until probably the last 5 to 7 years of my life, I was scared of black women because of the animosity and the backstabbing and the fighting and the things that you just see in a regular high school, college type of situation. And if you don't subscribe to that, you're definitely kind of on the outside of that inner mean girl circle. So I think that some of the portrayals that we are seeing on like Love and Hip Hop, like Sorority Sisters, is very, very accurate and is definitely part of our community that we either need to embrace or we need to address. So as much beef has been going on about Mona Scott, she's getting hers.
Sure
and somebody is watching it because they are being entertained by it, and it's a reflection of what they see, they feel, and they believe. So if that didn't exist within our community and that wasn't something how we expressed ourselves, I don't think that she would be having so many shows on television right now.
Yeah, I must say I also am not a part of a sorority. And it's probably really naive of me because when I saw, the trailer for the new show, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is great. They're gonna go into how amazing, sorority and sisterhood is, and probably entice some young women to want to join. And then they got into like all the drama, and at the end of the day, it's about being entertained. And sadly, people are not going to watch a show. Well, you would hope people would want to watch a show that explores those different facets of what a sorority means, as opposed to getting into the nitty-gritty and pettiness about, who's friends with who and who's sleeping with who. And it's unfortunate because they do have this platform where they could, portray and it really present to the world the positive aspects of why they joined the sorority that they belong to, but instead, it's feeding into the drama.
What do you think has changed culturally? Because at least I think I'm right up there with you dating myself. Like, I remember shows like A Different World that talked about college in a positive light. And I agree. I know it's about the entertainment value. Don't get me wrong. But I think that there would be interest in a show that followed women around a college campus and showed what college life is like without them fighting and yelling at each other. I don't know. Am I just like really super old and naive to think that is a show that people would watch? It's the demographic now, like 2018 to 25, and that's just a whole generation that's just tuned into something totally different.
Yeah, I mean, I think the expectation has changed. I think with all these Love and Hip Hops and, Hollywood X's and things like that, that's what people and viewers have come to expect. So unfortunately, I don't know how successful a show, that really delves into and, dives into the more positive notion of, women or black women specifically, how well that would do just because they see the fame that comes from behaving a certain way. And, with the fact that we live in such a technology-focused, world now with Instagrams, you can really make yourself a celebrity without really having to do much but act a fool.
Well, if anybody ever gives me a platform and an opportunity to have a show, I'm going to do my best to change that perception. I don't know. I think there is.
I would watch it. So you have one viewer.
There are lots of women doing lots of wonderful things, and I think something happens when a camera turns on that, I don't know, if ego gets in the way or people who are just natural born performers. Because I live in Atlanta, the show's filmed in Atlanta, and I've actually met one of the cast members, and I did not know her to be that way when I met her, and I was so surprised at her behavior on the show. Like, I couldn't believe she's a smart woman. She's a smart woman. I couldn't really fathom why she would take that opportunity to use that platform to kind of behave the way that she did. So I was kind of saddened because I figured now we can't really talk about, you know, hood rats and project girls and you're just a stripper. We can't really hate on, you know, the ever commanders of the world anymore because now you have women who own businesses and who have degrees and they're behaving the same way. So I mean, who's really more at fault? Someone who's been educated and who really knows better, or someone who kind of came up, you know, in the streets, so you expect her to behave in such a manner, you know?
Yeah.
JD, did you have
Yeah.
anything to add?
Yeah, I think a lot of times one of the things that we miss, and I know several people that have, I'm in Chattanooga, and one of the things that one of the reality shows that is filmed in Atlanta, the producer is from Chattanooga, and one of the things I think we forget about is that they want the drama. They put it into their dialogues for the drama. And so they're giving us just what they have been told to give us. And we have to keep that in the forefront because it may not be the way that person is originally. But if they want to stay on this show, they're going to have to act a certain way. And it may not be them, but they're doing it so that they can actually stay on the reality show long enough to get paid. And at this time, it is about the money. It's not so much about who they are really, because for them, I think it's all about acting. I don't think that it really portrays, hopefully, not who they are all the time, but you can get caught up in it to a point that it just doesn't matter anymore because you're a celebrity, people know who you are when you go places, and they feed off of that. And for a sister that has never been in the limelight to get in the limelight, it will change who you are, because if you don't know who you are and you let someone else dictate that to you, that's the position that you're going to be in. Because these young ladies, I never knew them to act that way, and to see them portray that on television, it was very shocking.
Mm-hmm. Well, we all know those shows are scripted reality.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to take that as entertainment only. And it would not be on air if people weren't watching. And so if there really is this major outcry about the behavior, about the portrayal, and not just looking at it for entertainment value, it will be taken off the air because it's not getting ratings. They won't be able to get advertising
Absolutely.
dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously there's something there. These producers and these TV executives are onto something, because we are watching. We are justifying those advertising dollars somehow. So if we really had a problem with it, if it wasn't really a portrayal we wanted to see, we would get it taken off the air.
Yeah, and I think that's the issue, that so many of these shows have spin-offs. There's Love and Hip Hop, Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, so they obviously have the formula. So like you were saying, Elise, if we really had a problem as a community, we should turn off VH1 or turn off MTV or turn off, BET, and not watch these sitcoms where we look like crazy.
Yeah, I think the formula is that there are a ton of women who want to be overnight celebrities. And I think you go to any shopping mall, come by any Mac counter, and you have a bevy of women who want to be Kim Kardashian and Beyonce. And I think that's the formula. Where's the next batch of wannabes who want to essentially air all their dirty laundry and just to be on television for a couple of minutes? I think that's more the sad part and the heart of the matter, is that there's no shortage of subject matters of people who want to be on television. So maybe there'll be a shift somewhere. We'll put that energy out there, because I think on the flip side, there's also another bevy of educated women who do want to talk about college and first overcoming adversity and perseverance and being in healthy relationships and being great moms and all of those things. And let's script a television show that highlights those things as well. That's my 2 cents. That's what I think. So if you guys are listening to me right now, then that means that you are now tuned into the BAN's Guide to Winter Weary here. I am your host, Brittany Omiki, and you are joined by lovely, lovely panelists and educator Ife, Elise J, and JD. And right now we are going to move the conversation to hair and beauty. So I'm so excited about all the information and all of the wealth of knowledge that we have from the panelists that are here. There's so many places to start, and there are going to be lots of offshoots to the conversation. So guys, get your pen and pencil ready and really prepare to take notes on how to care for your hair during these winter months. So I think the first question I'm going to shoot out to the stylist: why do we need to change our hair care regimen when the weather changes?
Why? Well, we need to change because we're changing for our outer climate. Hair is affected by our atmosphere, by our climate, by everything that's happening around us. So as the air gets colder, as the hair gets drier, it needs a lot more hydration and protection. So we've got to change from a routine in summertime. Usually people are going to the beach, going out, kind of wearing their hair however, wherever, and not taking as much care with it. But you cannot necessarily do that in the wintertime, like Chicago, because right now it's about 28 degrees, and it's very, very windy outside. So we've got to buffer that hair from the elements and make sure it's hydrated from the inside, including inside of our bodies and drinking water, making sure our diets are correct so that we can survive these cold, frigid months.
All right, so buffering your hair from the elements with hydration and lots of moisture during the winter. Got it. Okay. JD, what's your response?
I think hydrating the hair is definitely key because we know that the cold winter months can wreak havoc on the hair if we're not doing that. Also, I think to put the hair in a protective style to protect the ends of the hair especially. I know a lot of times, a lot of my clients, they really like to wear their hair out, but sometimes I just make sure that if I do a bantu knot or twist it out, or twist the hair or something like that where they can put a scarf on it, just something to kind of shield it from the cold because of what actually happens as far as dryness is concerned. So it is a good thing to do as far as protecting the hair from the elements by hydrating it to deposit more moisture into the shaft so that the hair will not dry out and break, and those weathered ends won't get really bad during the winter months.
Okay, so now I want to ask, what truly is a protective style? So you hear a lot of lingo going around social media, and in case there are any newbies that are out there and joining us, hi, hey girl, hey. What truly is a protective style? What do we mean when we say that? As a stylist, what do you guys mean?
Well, protective styling. Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, okay. So I know everybody has their own opinion on protective styling, and I'm going to say this is really only my opinion. I'm not very big on protective styling because what I see happen is someone will take something that is supposed to be protective and take it to the nth degree where it becomes something that is definitely more damaging to their hair. So if by protective, it means kind of putting it up and away, something that you're not constantly having your fingers in, you're not constantly putting on wool hats, wool scarves directly on the hair. So for me, and some of my clients because most of my clients are wash and go clients because my specialty is cut and color. So I don't really do a lot of twisting, a lot of like up styling. For protective for them is making sure that their hair is not, their ends are not being touched by the cotton, by the wool, by whatever type of sweaters or hats or coats they're wearing. Protective styling is make sure that you're not over manipulating the hair and not manipulating it when it's dry, and just making sure that you're on a regular cleanse and condition routine set. So I don't get too deep into the protective styling. Also for me, with protection comes the need for cuts. I don't say the word trim because a trim doesn't exist in my world. If I take my scissors out, I'm doing the same steps whether I'm cutting off a quarter of an inch or I'm cutting off 6 inches. So making sure that definitely with those older ends that they are maintained regularly during the winter because they're going to be exposed to more elements, which means they're more likely to break off. So make sure you're maintaining a clean, fresh end. And then you can choose from there. If you want to go under a wig or a weave, do it safely where you've hydrated the hair, cleansed the hair, you're doing it on a regular basis. You're not just slapping the weave on and leaving it for 6 to 12 weeks for some people, which is too long, ladies. Or just keep putting the wig on day in and day out and not making sure that hair is cleansed, conditioned, hydrated, and protected from the elements of the wig. So really protective is anything that is going to preserve the hair from the elements.
So you made a good point, and you said that a protective style still needs a regular cleansing and conditioning routine as part of the protection.
Yes.
So now, can you please tell our viewers, in your opinion, how long a protective style should be left in to continue to be a protective style? Case in point, I've been wearing braids since October, and this is a goddess braid, which is one braid around. This is 1 week. This will probably just start to look poor in another week, so I'll probably take it out. But if I had the smaller cornrows that I had like a month ago, how long should you leave something like cornrows, the jumbo box braids that everyone's getting? Your scalp is still out, so you're able to cleanse and wash your scalp. But what about the hair that's intertwined with the synthetic braid hair? How is that hair moisturized or not being moisturized when it's braided? And so maybe you could break down by style, right? So like jumbo braids, box braids, sew-in, which means you've got cornrows underneath a weave, kind of what your timetable is for when, even if you do the best hydration you can do before the style goes in, what's happening to your hair as it's under there? How's the moisture leaving? How can you really apply moisture underneath a sew-in? Can you really? And then at what timetable should you take all of that out, wash, condition, deep condition, and start again? I know that's a lot.
That is a really deep question.
Inquiring minds want to know.
I definitely err on the conservative side. So I say 6 to 8 weeks for anything that has added hair in it. Reason being, your hair grows average ½ inch a month. So at the point of time where you hit 6 to 8 weeks, you've got anywhere from 3/4 to 1 inch of hair underneath there, first of all. So then you've got this additional hair hanging onto hair that's already past the scalp. So you're adding tension, you're adding weight to a week, no, not a weekend, but a fabric that has already been friction or the net that you have on under the weave. How do you hydrate a box braids or a weave? Same way you do when your hair is free and open. Cleanse, condition with the same routine that you probably did beforehand, every week to every 2 weeks. But the key to sew-in or box braids is making sure that hair and that scalp get dry. Anytime that you just let those elements kind of stay wet inside of something, think about putting a t-shirt in a plastic bag. What happens after a while? It gets moldy. Same thing with your hair and your scalp. You give it the kind of the environment to grow fungus, to grow mold, to grow bacteria. So you want to make sure that that gets dry on the back end. And also, you want to be aware of the type of hair that you're choosing, the type of net that you're choosing. What type of fabric is actually rubbing against that hair? If you're having something that's rougher, that is more coarse rubbing against your hair, you might want to leave that in for less time because all that friction will hit the weaker points in your hair strand and cause them to break. So be aware of all of those things as you are doing your protective styling. Things like you're doing right now with the goddess braid and other like twisted updos with your own hair, I would say you can leave those in for like a week to 3 or 4 weeks. Only thing happens is water evaporates from hair in 4 to 7 days. Once you've passed that week mark, anything that you're adding to that hair in terms of product-wise, if your hair is already sealed down, it's already had a layer of protection, it's a butter and oil with silicone, whatever you use, anything that you really put on top of that, no water basis is really getting into that hair. So think of, you seal that hair strand off. So anything you add on top of that is adding on top of your sealed layer. A little bit might get in, but you're not actually adding hydration. I call that lubrication, to where just like you have a squeaky door, you put some WD-40 on it, you're allowing that door to move past on the hinge without scraping or breaking or doing some type of thing like that. So if you're adding like a milk or a butter or something like that, or oil to your hair, you're adding more lubrication until you go ahead and cleanse that sealant layer off and then start adding your conditioner and whatever you're doing after that.
Okay,
yeah,
so
I think I answered all the questions.
So here's the recap. So protective styling, your hair still needs to be nourished and cared for. So yes, you want low manipulation. Yes, you don't want to comb it and brush it every day, but you want to cleanse it and you want to hydrate it because, as Elise always says, your hair grows from your scalp. So that is where you want to keep it cleansed and keep that healthy. So 6 to 8 weeks for, give or take, for a braided style or weave. You want to get back in there and deep condition and rehydrate. And water is hydration. Water is your best friend, right? And then everything else on top of that, after 7 days, is kind of just lubrication, but you're not really adding more moisture to the hair. So Ife, what is your winter routine? How do you change it up from summer to winter?
So in the winter, I do a lot of tuck-in pins, roll tuck-in pins, where, you know, like you were saying earlier, you know, there's low manipulation, because I am very guilty at and just playing in my hair, just when I'm bored, just touching it. And, you know, in the winter months, it makes it more challenging, because if I'm always playing in my hair, plus the cold weather, you know, that does some damage to my hair. So in order to avoid that, I like to keep it off my neck, up in an updo, similar to your, you know, your goddess braid here. I'd just roll my hair around my head and pin it up and go. So, you know, those kind of styles, you know, work well for me, just because it keeps my fingers out of my hair.
What's one of your favorite Entwine products to use during the winter months?
I would say this argan oil. I don't know if you can. It's sitting here right on my desk. It's the Entwine argan oil. I love this stuff. A little goes a long way, but, you know, like you were saying, you have to hydrate the hair first, as opposed to just day after day adding more oil to, you know, lubricate the hair. So, but that would be my go-to.
Cool. And so, JD, let's go ahead and get you to jump right in. So the question that I asked Elise is, in your professional opinion, what do you call a protective style? And, you know, what are your thoughts as to how long you advise your clients to leave those styles in, and how they will harm the hair?
Right. I ditto just about everything that she said, and I also take under consideration the scalp, because a lot of clients that wear natural hair, a lot of times they have dry scalps. So depending on if a client's scalp is really dry, I may cut it to 4 weeks, depending on the style, because they still need to keep that scalp environment very clean, so that the bacteria will not, be so deposited on the scalp, so that it won't breed, other things. So the protection is to protect it from the elements in the best ways possible. And, I don't agree with a person wearing a weave and leaving it in under a net for a long period of time. But I think that in going with with everything that she said, I really take under consideration, before we go into any type of protective styling, the scalp area. So if a person is dealing with any type of dryness or seborrheic dermatitis or anything like that, it will definitely deter what methodology we will go into as far as a style is concerned, because I don't want that scalp not to be tended to properly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go to some of our viewer questions. ATO 550 says, are there any recommendations for a good DIY at-home hydrator for hair in the winter? Hey girl, hey! So hopefully you have been checking out Entwine Couture's products, and I know that my favorite thing to do during the winter months, after I take down each braided style — this is my 3rd braided style since October — is The Exotica Moisture Cream Hydrator. It's our deep conditioner. It's got Takuma butter, lots of oils and butters to really hydrate the hair. And I know I like to do like a hair spa day, and I'll kind of just wash and cleanse as normal, and I'll put that in my hair. And I have a steamer, and I'll steam my hair, but then even after I steam, I'll put on a plastic cap and kind of walk around the house for a couple hours with that on my hair because I know that I'm going to braid my hair up again for a couple weeks. So I like to keep it just nice, to get it nice and just moisturize and just buttery, delicious, and yummy. So definitely go over to www.entwinecouture.com and check out the Exotica Buttercream Hydrator, and stay tuned for a big announcement in how you can get $10 off your next purchase at Entwine Couture. So everybody else jump in. What are some tips that you would give her for DIY moisture for your hair during the winter?
Well, it's definitely, I think, important still for wintertime for people to clarify. Not super often, but we tend to use lots of butters, lots of oils, lots of creams in the winter to get our hair to the point of where we can manipulate it. But if we've been using those butters and oils and creams for 2 to 3 to 4 weeks for some people on top of each other and in the midst of co-washing, we've got a lot of layers of product buildup on the hair. So at the point of where you've got that product buildup, nothing, not even water, is going to penetrate that. So making sure that you're clarifying, and clarifying means actually using a specific clarifying shampoo to remove all of that. It doesn't have to have sulfates. There are quite a few that don't have sulfates in them. Their formula is just to make sure that they remove all that off the hair strand so that your hair, your cuticle, which is kind of your outside roof layer of your hair, is lifted some so that it can get water into it. And the Exotica moisture mask is actually awesome at closing in, getting that moisture into the hair strand, closing that cuticle down, creating a nice buffer layer of moisture inside the hair strand, and that's where you would style from. So hydration is not so much about every day using a product or using something just to keep putting on top of the hair, although you can, like I said, for lubrication. But getting a good cleanse and deep condition routine, and that's as you said about steaming. Steaming is amazing. Steam is micronized water, which means it's going to, that water particle is going to get into that hair strand a lot deeper. So it's going to take that conditioner, that moisture, get it really infuse it into the hair strand. And once you close all of that down, that's going to be in there and give you the hydration you're looking for.
Anyone else?
I think
one lady
that
just jumped.
Yeah, I think it's really great to use the steamer. You know, I use them in the salon. But for those that are at home and if they don't have one, I think it's very important, as she said, to cleanse the hair and make sure you remove everything. But you can also use the shower to add the steam from the shower in the hair, and that really does help if that's, you know, basically what you have. So those are some of the things that you can do at home. And then I love the buttercream hydrator as well, you know, to put on the hair to give it the added moisturizer that it will need in going forward. So those are some of the things that I share with some of the clients who don't have a steamer, is to use the steamer from the shower, or the steam from the shower, to help deposit into the shaft, you know, and shampooing and conditioning it. Once the conditioner is on, just to let the steam take over in the shower. And a lot of them say they can tell a nice difference when they do that.
Do you recommend shampooing the hair when you have artificial hair braided in, or should you just use a conditioner so that you make sure that it rinses out? Because I always fear having that shampoo kind of get trapped in the hair and it's not rinsed out all the way, and it's drying your hair out as it's sitting on your hair. That's always my fear. I've never shampooed my hair with braids. I've always just used a conditioner to co-wash.
You can dilute your shampoo. I don't have as much experience with braids. You can either use a specific braid cleanser that is going to remove the particles from the hair and from the scalp without causing a residue in the braids. You can also, I have the few braids and locks that I do when I do scalp treatments to them, and I don't necessarily want to get a lot in the braid hair. I take one of those squeezy color bottles that you put like liquid hair color on. You get them at Sally's or whatever beauty supply is around you, and I will take warm water and put some shampoo in it, whatever consistency you desire, and kind of go through just with the scalp, because the purpose of shampoo is to cleanse the scalp. The hair is kind of a byproduct of getting all the product off of the hair strand, but it's really a cleanser for the scalp. So you want to concentrate on that and really get in there and just rinse. Do a really, really good job of rinsing your hair, whether it's in the shower or over the kitchen sink, of just letting that water run through and then using your fingers to manipulate any surfactants that are still left in the hair, because those should be able to rinse clean.
Also,
you
too, you wait on me. I was just going to say also, too, sometimes I will do just a light type of scalp exfoliation. I will use a little bit of the shampoo, and I will take like something similar to maybe that of a soft bristle toothbrush, and just put the shampoo in a bottle and go through the scalp, and then just take the brush and cleanse the scalp just a little bit with that, to make sure that you're ridding the scalp from dry scalp or dirt and debris or whatever that is on the scalp at the time, and then do a really good rinse on the hair. So that works a lot of times as well as the shampooing. You don't have to worry about drying out your hair on that wise.
I'm gonna have to use that on some locks that I have coming up.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, I have my locks are to my behind, and those are the things that I've learned to do with locks and with braids, because a lot of times it's not so much me really wanting to get into the locks as it is my scalp.
Yeah.
Great information from our wonderful panel of stylists, Miss Elise J and Miss JD. So you guys are tuned into Entwine Couture Presents the BAN's Guide to Winter Weary Hair. And I am going to let you guys in on a little secret. I don't know if you can see behind me. There's a little tip as to what the announcement is going to be, if you can see the little statue that I have in the background. I can finally announce that Entwine Couture is doing a giveaway where we want to send 3 of our BANs, our consumers, to Paris, France in the spring. So here's the basics of what this contest is going to be about. You have to go over to www.entwinecouture.com to find out what bloggers are participating and what their blogger access code is. Once you find that blogger access code, the blogger that you want to support, and use her code, you can use that code to get $10 off of any $40 Entwine Couture purchase. I'm sorry, it's on Facebook. You're going to go to Facebook, Entwine Couture on Facebook.com, and you are going to find the blogger access code. You will get $10 off a $40 purchase. Once you make that purchase and you get an invoice number, you're going to put that invoice number on a selfie, and we are in a selfie-obsessed society, so much so that there was a show on ABC called Selfie. It got canceled, but you get my point. You guys are used to taking pictures. You take your selfie and you get your hair all zhuzhed up, and you put on your best outfit. You take your selfie. You post your selfie with your invoice number from your purchase, and you post it on Facebook and all your social medias, and that picture is going to be judged. And once it's judged, the ones that have the most views and what the criteria is for judging will win an opportunity to move to the next round of selection to win a trip to Paris. I've never been. I can't think of anything more awesome to do in the first quarter of 2015 than to hop on a plane and go to Paris, France, with wonderful BANs who love Entwine Couture products just like yourselves, fellow naturalistas and fashionistas and makeup divas. I mean, it's going to be an awesome trip. So definitely head over to facebook.com/entwinecouture, www.entwinecouture.com for all official rules and details. But yes, Naturals in Paris 2015. I'm so excited. So you guys head over to the website, get your products, use your access code, get your $10 off. There is an awesome holiday packaging and gold leafing, and it's wrapped, and it's so wonderful and exquisite. It makes a great gift. If you don't want it for yourself, you can give it as a gift, but definitely enter to win. And you're already using our products anyway, so that's just more incentive to go stock up for the new year and go ahead and use your invoice number to win a trip to Paris. Whew, that was a mouthful. I'm so glad I finally get to talk about it. So you guys go ahead and check that out. And so we're going to move into holiday hair. So what are some of the things that you guys are seeing in terms of trends in your salon, what your clients are asking for, what you are itching to get to do and let somebody do? You know, 'cause I know I do makeup, and I just love it when someone just comes and sits in my chair and just goes, do whatever you want to do. Like, yes, I get to play with your face. So what are some of the things as stylists coming up for the holidays that you just are, oh, I really wish you would just let me take this lovely hair and do this for your Christmas party or for your New Year's Eve? What are some holiday hair trends?
Well, I'm seeing a lot of twisted styles, twist outs. I'm not seeing as many tuck and rolls this year. It's possibly because Chicago has not yet gotten as ridiculous as it was last year in terms of weather. So people are still really feeling their hair being out, their hair being big and fabulous for the season. I mean, it hasn't even snowed here yet, like for real snowed. So people are truly kind of feeling themselves, feeling their hair. I'm seeing a lot of short tapered cuts though. I've done a lot of those in the last 3 to 4 months, and so I'm helping some clients grow them out, some clients keep them up. I'm also seeing an upsurge for color in the season. I think it's also, because we haven't had very horrible weather yet. So people are really getting adventurous, really like, I want to do something different with my hair. And I'm predicting to see that for 2015 also, as people letting go of the length, letting go of all the preconceived notions of what natural hair has to be or should be.
I'm looking at for a lot of my lock clients, they really want very nice color and a lot of different types of updos for the holiday season, as well as those that may have braids and so forth. But color seems to be the biggest thing right about now, is that they're just going there with the color, all different types of color. And I'm truly enjoying doing the color. So a lot of still twist outs and then putting the twist out up in some type of style and adding a pop of color.
Cool. Ife, are there any styles that you're excited to try? I know I was excited to do this braid. I saw like all the young girls. I'm an art teacher, and like all the young girls were like brand new little braid. And I was like, oh, that's so cute. I want to do that. It's like so simple.
Yeah.
It didn't take 7 hours in the braid chair. I wanted to do those jumbo braids so bad with the big bun, but when all of my friends said that they sat in that chair for 7 hours, I had to pass. So, is there anything, Ife, that you're looking to maybe try or experiment with your hair in the new year?
Well, I'm definitely going to go back to my Senegalese twists for the winter. I usually get that about January, February time. But I really am interested in going the color route, like Elise and JD were saying. I want to go out there. I want some navy hair.
Oh, no. Yes.
I'm going to try.
Awesome. I encourage that. I support that. Yes, navy hair.
Maybe.
So then, I know we talked a lot about color in past webcasts. Can you briefly, JD and Elise, tell us, how do you care for natural hair when it's colored, and then what extra steps maybe or precautions should you take in the winter in terms of breakage or your hair being so dry that it just snaps and breaks because of the color? And you can give a abbreviated version if you feel, but just what extra steps do you take coloring your hair in the winter?
Most of the time with the winter color, I make sure that they use a lot of moisture and hydration, especially because color can dry out the hair. I also, before I do color, I will treat the hair to make sure that the hair can receive the color. If the hair is very dry, if it's breaking, if it's brittle, we will have to condition the hair before color so that the hair will be healthy during the the time that they're actually wearing the color. Also, to make sure that their ends are trimmed and that the ends of the hair that it responds well, because a lot of times I found, especially in the South, with a lot of color, the ends can start to become very brittle. And we make sure that the ends of the hair are cut. I do a lot of color on locks, and to make sure that the color is even, especially, you know, when you're coloring the locks. I have a lot of different things that I've been playing with. I know you probably have too, at least, with the different colors, the purples, the blues, and so forth. And they're just loving it. So just being conscious of the fact that everybody can't get it when they want it. I tell a lot of people no. And sometimes I'm not the most popular for that, but if the hair is damaged to begin with, they will not get colored. They definitely have to get the hair conditioned before any color can take place.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've had people come to me asking me, can they take them from a demi-permanent black to red, blonde, whatever. I'm like, no, and they go do it, and then half the hair breaks off. But that's neither here nor there. I encourage people to incorporate a good professional protein treatment into their regular cleansing and conditioning routines. And now I know as naturals we start to say, oh, that's toxic, oh, it has silicone in it, oh, it has that. Once you start getting into hair color that has both ammonia or non-ammonia, because even non-ammonia hair colors have an ammonia replacer in them, and peroxide, we need to kind of step out of this, like, I got to be juices and berries organic type of person, because you've done something artificial to your hair. It needs that same artificial support. When you color hair, you lift that cuticle to a point where it's not going to go back down to where it was. So you've got to have that protein support to fill in those imbrications in that hair strand, smooth it out, leave a layer to just of protection wrapping around that hair strand. Now, I'm going back purple. I don't know if you guys remember seeing me. I had purple and pink hair last March. It's going back purple sometime in the next couple of weeks. And I haven't been seeing as many people letting me do crazy colors, maybe because we're still very much a conservative city, strangely enough. But I'm doing a lot of, I want to go brighter. I want to go more bold. We haven't gotten to the bold yet, which I think we're coming into maybe for spring, summer 2015. But I'm seeing a lot of highlights, seeing a lot of gray coverage that is not going black. Because sometimes when you have gray, black is the worst color you can go to, because it starts to draw all the attention to the parts of your face you don't want to draw attention to. So I've been using a lot of color as highlights with people. And I'm seeing a lot of first-time color clients, people who've been scared of color for years, coming to see me for color. Not that I do that much color anymore, because I'm pulling back to be more of a cut specialist. But when I do color, I get to do a lot of fun stuff.
Cool. That sounds awesome. So we have a couple of viewer questions that I want to go ahead and jump into. So Crystal Brown wants to know, and JD, I'm going to direct this question to you since you have lot clients. She wants to know if there is a particular type of extension that's better for your hair in terms of retaining moisture. And she has yarn braids, and she is not sure if that was a great idea. So is there synthetic extension hair that can actually strip hair of more moisture than, say, a different brand, or do they pretty much all do the same thing, and that's why we should take them out after 4 weeks?
Well, a lot of times, depending on the texture of the hair, if the hair is really fine, you want to be careful about a lot of the different synthetics that you use when it comes to actually twisting or braiding the hair, and then how tight you do it. I use a lot, and the young ladies in the salon, we use more natural hair than we do synthetic hair a lot of times, because of the fact that the synthetic hair can break the hair or can cause different irritations to the hair. And the dye factor is also a big concern, because I've had young ladies to just get synthetic hair and they get it braided into their hair or twisted into their hair, and then all of a sudden they have this outbreak on their scalp because they're actually actually allergic to whatever they used on the hair to preserve it or to color it. So with synthetic hair, you really have to be careful, and you have to ask a lot of questions, because if they've never had it before, you may want to just do like a large braid on the hair to see if they have any allergies to it. I've been seeing here lately a lot of young ladies with allergies to certain synthetic brands of hair. With the lock clients, we use more human hair on, the lock extensions. So as far as the dryness from the synthetic hair, all of that needs to be taken into consideration beforehand if that is the best route to go. I don't use a lot of synthetic hair, so I don't know what to really advise them on. I use more natural hair. And the yarn is not, it will absorb the water or whatever that you put in it, and yarn is not something that I would shampoo a lot of times and keep in my hair for the simple reason that it is a fiber, and those fibers can breed different types of bacteria. So I think with the yarn in the hair, I may just go 4 weeks, 3-4 weeks, and take that out, depending on how it has been styled.
Cool, that's a great answer. So, Ife, I want to ask you, how do you care for your hair on a daily basis? And then Elise and JD, I want you guys to jump in. So if you're not protective styling, if you're not tucking in your ends and protecting it and buffering it from the elements, what should you do to jumpstart and kick up your routine if you are going in and out of cold weather and then heat and stuff like that? Is there anything, Ife, that you found that you need to do differently in the winter than in the summer?
So most definitely in the winter, I need to focus my concentration on my scalp a little bit more, because that does tend to dry out faster than it does in the summertime. Playing with my regimens, but for the most part, what works for me, especially with the fact that I do work out, several times a week, to just, before I start my workout, I'll do a 2-strand twist. If I feel like my hair needs a little bit of moisture, I'll spritz some water and then use the buttercream hydrator to retwist my hair, do my workout, go to bed, and then come morning my hair looks amazing.
So anything different in terms of like the amount of product or the way you layer your products on your hair?
I just use more conditioner. I try to focus more on being diligent with, doing my conditioning treatments every week. So I'll alternate between one that's more moisturizing and then one that's like protein building, like Elise was saying, just to get more strength, to my hair strands.
Are you adding some type of cream hydrator to your hair every day, every other day?
Well, it's mostly every other day.
Okay.
Because it does stay moisturized for a very long time, and especially if I'm doing more of the tuck and roll styles. So I don't need to use, it every day, but I'd say pretty much every other day.
All right, that's awesome. So Elise, because that's always been my fear, that the minute I wear my hair out and go outside and it's 20 degrees, it's going to feel like straw. That's just always been my fear. I don't think I've ever worn my twist out in the winter. I always braid my hair like every winter. Or when those beanies were really big, I would just keep my hair in the twist and wear the beanie and just kind of have like my edges out. I don't think I've ever worn my hair out in winter. So now, Elise, so I can wear a twist out next week. Just tell me what's differently.
Well, I'll be honest. I am the laziest natural. I don't follow any of my advice. I sleep on a cotton pillowcase with no scarf, no nothing. I wash and go my hair when I'm not being lazy, probably every 3 to 4 days. I wear hats directly on my hair, but I also have no problem with cutting all my hair off, which, as you can see, I'm just now growing back from a super, like barber shaved haircut this past summer. Really, it's about getting the water in the hair strand. I don't worry about protecting my hair, protective styling, sleeping on a cotton pillowcase, because my hair is consistently being cleansed and conditioned with quality products in Twine Couture, and styled and left alone for the time in between. I'm not manipulating it at all. I wake up, I steam it in the shower just so I can do like this for the part that I've slept on, and I keep it moving. You can wear your twist out. If you are a little bit more fastidious than I am, with your twist out, make sure that you're wearing a silk scarf or you have a silk inset into your hat. Make sure that your hair isn't rubbing against your wool or your cotton coats and sweaters. Sleep on a satin pillowcase. I can't stand anything on my head winter, spring, summer, fall. So if you're like me and you can't do scarves, bonnets, things like that, get a satin pillowcase so that that cotton surface isn't robbing your hair of the moisture, especially if you're intending on not doing. What I do is washing and going every 2 or 3 days. I actually, last winter when it was like 12 degrees in Chicago, I had a fresh wash and go. I had shaved on the sides about that long in the front, and I walked outside and I stood on the bus stop. My hair froze. But when I got back into some heat, that it was frozen and there was water inside it and it was hydrated. I can do that and not get sick. Don't do it if you can't. But what I do advise, like I did today, my hair is pretty wet. I took a shower at about 7 Central Time. Wash and go my hair. It's going to dry before I go to sleep. I might put a sleep cap on tonight. When I wake up, I'm going to do like this, and I'm going to leave out the house. So for those who can't do wash and goes in the morning, think about when you get home from work, take your shower, let it steam, put your conditioner on, and style your hair, then sleep on it, wake up the next day. So really, I think sometimes we want to do so much to our hair that we overthink that we can just be like, okay, I'm going to do it, it's done, keep it moving. It feels dry, let me go shampoo it, condition it, start the process over again.
Cool. I don't think I want frozen hair, so I might just keep my braids. I just keep the braids.
That's just me, though.
That's scary. That's scary.
It lets us know. It lets us know that the hair is more resilient than you give it credit. Mm-hmm. Because I find a lot of times we are sometimes afraid that this is going to happen or that is going to happen. But in the winter, I tend to use more butters, just for the fact that the butters kind of more or less make the hair a little bit more hydrated and moisturized, and making sure that it's cleansed often, because those butters, along with those oils, as Elise said, it will seal the hair and the water can't get in. But with me wearing locks, I am probably, as a stylist like Elise, I try to take my own advice and get under the steamer every now and again for my scalp's sake. But a lot of times I'll just put a little bit of oil, like once I come from the steamer, just continue putting a little bit of argan oil on the hair, and I just go on. I really don't go through a whole lot of changes, and I sleep with my hair on top of my head every night. So therefore, I have to make sure I don't have so much oil on it that I'm ruining my sheets, because I can't stand to cover my hair at night. So it's still on my head, thank God, and I just keep going forward.
That's great advice. So, Ife, I'm going to bring you back into the conversation. We have a reader question. Mm-hmm. Determined Diva, hey girl, hey, she wants to know, you just mentioned that you work out a few times a week. Mm-hmm. She wants to know what your routine is in terms of your hair and the gym in the winter.
So my regimen usually is to wash my hair for, during the weekend, work out all week. And that's been working out really well for me. I don't go to the gym at 5 in the morning. I usually do my workouts in the evening, just because I have more time to sit and focus on my hair. But even still, like I was saying before, try to do, my twist out or bantu knot, leave that in while I do my workout. And then, once I've taken a shower and stuff, take out, my hair and either do a roll, tuck, and pin and get out the door.
Okay, cool. Determined Diva, I hope that answered your question. I also want to add a couple of skincare tips. So, in case you guys aren't familiar with me, I'm also a certified makeup artist. And so I think that in terms of changing your skin for winter, and this works for me because I have dry skin. I have a couple of my oily skin clients who've also tried it. I wash my face at night and kind of do my whole skincare routine at night, the same way we do our hair care routine. You know, we'll maybe add a little moisture, do a little twist, tuck it, pin it up. I do the same thing for my facial skin. So when I wake up in the morning, because it's, 30 degrees, I can just use a facial cleansing wipe or like maybe witch hazel as a toner, and I don't have to add water in a soap or detergent cleanser to my skin again. And I feel like overnight I can apply a thicker moisturizer. I can even use a drop of argan oil on my skin and use that at night. And so I feel like in the morning, you don't have to worry about your skin feeling greasy or having too much product on your skin in the morning, because overnight all of that hydration has kind of seeped into the skin and plumped it up. So when you wake up in the morning, a simple facial cleansing towelette can kind of just wipe the morning out of your eye, but you don't have to start all over again with another harsh cleanser and water to continue to dry out and strip your face. That's just a little piece of advice from me that I kind of give my clients, oily and dry alike. In the winter, they say that it works because everybody was kind of over washing their face, like washing it at night to take off the makeup, then washing it again in the morning just because like you're used to washing your face in the morning, but it's like you just washed it, it's cold out, you don't really need to do that much. So that's just a tip. Try that out, see how it goes, see if you notice an improvement in your skin. Guys, it's almost at the end of the show. It has been a pleasure having all of you here. So let's just do like a really quick recap. If you are watching, this is Antoine Couture presents the BAN's Guide to All Things Fierce, Fabulous, and Fly. I am your host, Brittany Oniki, and you are being joined with Elise J, Ife, who is our BAN socialite, and JD, who has over 20 years of hairstyling in the business, and she's joining us from Tennessee. And basically, I think the takeaways that I've gotten. Oh, let me ask this question really, really quickly. Does protective styling help your hair to grow? Yes or no, or the jury is still out?
I will say this from a trichological stand. The hair grows from within. Now, you can protect it all day long if you want to, but it's still, the hair is going to grow from within that, the layer of the follicle going, deeper down into the different tissues as to where that follicle begins and it grows. Now, you can protect it. The hair is going to grow a quarter of an inch to a half inch a month regardless. So the thing about it is, it's not so much if it's going to grow, but is it going to be strong enough to stay on your head once it does come out of the follicle? So I'm not going to sit up and tell a person that if they put a protective style on their head that it's going to make their hair grow. That has a lot to do with your diet. It has a lot to do with your protein, your water intake, and so forth and so on. Not because you got a protective style of Bantu knots walking around all week with them and your hair is growing.
Yeah, JD, I fully agree with you. It's really going to be about how much you retain. So what was the condition of your hair before you went into that protective style? Had you been cleansing, hydrating, making sure that your ends were maintained? Did you have color? What was the conditions of your hair before you went into the protective style? Also, who did your protective style? Was the person who installed your protective style installing it in a safe manner to where that hair did not have too much tension, too much friction, the right type of hair? Again, was it maintained while you had the protective style? Have you been cleansing, conditioning, making sure that hair was completely dry fully throughout? And then how long have you had that protective style in? There's a point to where that protective style gets very, very detrimental to your hair,
yes.
Where that hair is dry, there's friction, it's breaking. So like you said, it's going to grow. Growing is your hair's only job in this entire world, is short of certain medical conditions and certain drugs for other medical conditions. Your hair is growing. Just, again, how much do you get to keep or how much do I get to cut off?
So then what's the best way to retain the length once it's growing? What's the best way? The moisture, your daily routine, what's the best way to retain length?
All of it together. Your health, your diet, how much water you drink, how long you keep it in, who does it, all those things play a part. So it's not just one thing that's going to help you keep your hair on your head. It's an entire system. And it doesn't, not to say that it's this big convoluted thing. Eat healthy, drink water, Find a great hairstylist who is both adept at styling and maintaining hair, because sometimes you got some people who can give you a fabulous weave, but when you come out of it, you have two bald spots. So finding somebody to help you, or just becoming a very proficient with it yourself, and then let just chilling out, just chill out.
I have a question from Latoya Johnson. Hey girl, hey, and her question is, what are your thoughts on oil cleansing? So I'm trying to clarify the question because I know there's an oil cleansing method for skin. Is it an oil cleansing method for hair?
Kind of.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, when you start thinking a lot of times about co-washing, I see more conditioners with a lot of oils in them. I mean, they're full of oils, because years ago when we really co-washed natural hair, it was just with a cheap type of conditioner that didn't have a lot of oils in it so that the hair could feel, clean. So it just kind of depends, because you're going to cleanse the hair with the friction of your manipulating the scalp. That's going to help. And then a lot of conditioners do have a surfactant capability. So it just kind of depends. That's an interesting topic.
Yeah,
Depends on what kind of oil.
Yeah, oil cleansing for skin and hair I'm a little wary of, specifically because oil does help other oils to break down. So once you have oil in contact with oil, it does help it to break down. But again, you've still got layers of oil on your skin and your hair. Whereas if you put a layer of oil on your skin still needs to breathe oxygen. It still needs to gain moisture from the atmosphere. So you're creating this almost waterproof layer on your skin and your hair that is gonna kind of be not removable until you use a surfactant. The chemical properties of a surfactant, whether it's naturally derived or chemically derived, is to ionically pick up dirt, debris, oil particles off of the surface and remove them. So unless you're using a surfactant, I don't consider it clean. I just don't.
Well, here's my thoughts. I have really dry skin, and I'm over 30, so I like oil on my face. I enjoy putting oil on my skin. I love it. I use evening primrose oil. I'll put a pin in the capsules, and I kind of put it up under my eye before I go to bed. I like Antoine Couture's argan oil. I feel, like back in the day when you would like hop out of the shower and you would like put the baby oil on to like kind of seal everything and then be all silky like right out of the shower. I kind of do that.
Me too.
Me too.
I grew up in that house. That wasn't just me. So it's the same thing when I wash my face and my face is still damp. I take a drop of the argan oil and kind of just press it in, and it absorbs into my skin. And then I might still put a layer of moisturizer on top of that. That's how dry my skin is. So to answer the question about oil cleansing, I have tried it. I do love it. It's time consuming, but I feel like if you are experiencing any hormonal acne or the cystic acne that's under the skin that doesn't come up, it might be worth a try for you, because it changed my skin once I turned 30. I started having hormonal acne, so I did some research. And basically, it's a blend, but the primary agent that's cleansing and pulling the impurities out of the skin is castor oil. So castor oil has to be the base because it pulls everything out of the skin. And then you can add your blend of oils based on your skin type. So oilier skins tend to do jojoba or coconut with some tea tree. Drier skins tend to do the heavier oils like almond or grapeseed or olive. But the ratio is more castor, and then the rest are kind of just to blend it. But what you need to do is massage it into your face for at least 3 minutes, right? So it's like you said, the oil's breaking down the oil and the dirt. And then you're going to take a washcloth, a warm washcloth, and kind of steam the face repeatedly. So this might be like 4 or 5 passes of the steam to also kind of pull it out. So it's very time consuming. And that's another reason why I say care for your skin at night. This is kind of like your wind down routine, play your jazz, light a candle. Really think about like going inside, thinking about taking care of yourself and being healthy and being well, because if you want to do oil cleanse, it's not a get out the door, kind of 3-minute soap and water splash splash. It's really like it's the massage element and the steam element and then all of that stuff. But the castor oil pulls the impurities out of your skin. And I'm telling you, it made a difference in my skin in like a matter of months, I would say. Maybe 2 months, I saw a difference in my skin and the breakout stopped. So if it's something that you want to try, I definitely suggest you try it and do the research, but I'm a proponent of it. But I don't do it every day. I'm not going to lie to you at all. I don't do it every day. But it is something that's like in the back burner that I can look at my skin, and if I see it's like really like flaky looking, like I get really flaky up in here around my nose and in my eyebrow hairs. When I start to see that happening, one, I know that I'm drinking too much coffee and not enough water. And two, I'll kind of go in and do the whole oil cleanse. It's a kind of this, like a spa treatment almost, something that's just really luxurious and nourishing and pampering for my skin. So Crystal and Latoya, I hope that answers your question. And in terms of soft hands and feet, moisture, moisture, moisture. Now this goes against the the petrolatum and hair products, but I'm old school. Vaseline on those heels and some socks. Because I think I get the difference. I guess the difference non-scientifically between your hair and your body is that you wash your skin every day. Is that why? So it's not as bad to put Vaseline like on your hands because you're washing it off versus in your hair it's just sitting there? I don't know. That's just my guess.
Yeah, that I guess would be because you want to understand what is and what is not water soluble, and a lot of times with different types of petrolatum, it's not water soluble. So yeah, sometimes it can just sit there. I love it on my heels too, honey. I'm old school, just like you are. And when I'm looking for something for the feet, I do reach for the petrolatum because I'm gonna tell you, nothing feels as good on the feet as a little bit of Vaseline. So I love that. So I'm right there with you on that one.
Yeah, like right after a fresh pedicure when your skin is like super smooth, that same day I come home and I slather it on my
See, I cannot even stand that feeling. What I will do, actually, because I look at my feet right now in shame, I tend to get more pedicures in the winter than I do in the summer. My pedicures in the summer last a lot longer. They can typically last for about a month, although I stand on my feet all day. Wintertime, I usually go every 2 to 3 weeks. Now, mind you, I have not kept up with it this December. But I will keep one of those like foot not scrapers, but kind of the emery board type of things for your heels in my shower to make sure that I am kind of slowing off the dry skin. And then I use this is probably the only shea butter I use, but I use a shea butter based lotion all over my body, and I make sure that I take the time to massage it into my feet. Now I have former dancers' feet, so I have calluses and things that are just not pretty, that are never going to be pretty no matter what I do. So I just try to keep it hydrated, let the people do them for me, and be done.
All right, 1 minute left. I want to thank you guys so much for joining us. Let our viewers know where they can find you on social media and where they can get in touch with you if they have any more questions after the show. Jay-Z, I'm going to start with you.
Yes, you can reach me at exposeyourhair@yahoo.com. That's EXPOZURHAIR@yahoo.com, or you can reach me on the Facebook on In Touch with Texture.
Awesome. And Ife, what's going on with you? I mean, I know you are a BA in.
Yes.
Our BA in socialite, but you've got things going on that the people want to know about. So let us know what's going on with you.
Well, more to come in 2015. That's really going to be one of my goals, is to, get more in depth with that. But as for now, I'm on Instagram. You can reach me at Ife_. That's IF as in Frank E_.
Awesome. And Elise?
Well, for 2015, I will be opening up in Atlanta, hopefully sooner rather than later. I'm aiming for about March. Also, Northern California, Oakland, Fremont area. You can find me online at www.hairloveart.com or on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter. Mind you, I'm not on Twitter so much, so don't ask me questions on Twitter, at hairloveart.
Awesome. So one last question that we have coming from Mrs. Hills 101. Do you guys use shea butter on your face in the winter? I don't either.
My skin would die.
Yeah, I use it on my body and I use it in my hair. Shea butter might be a good alternative to the Vaseline if you guys aren't into shea butter might be good, but I was just old school with the Vaseline.
I used to use shea butter on my face at night, not in the morning, but at night, I'd wake up, my skin would feel amazing.
Okay, so Mrs. Hills 101, give it a try. It couldn't hurt. But like I said, I put oil on my face, coconut oil, argan oil, evening primrose oil. So maybe just try a couple of things and see what works for you. I think it's a natural product, so it couldn't hurt. I definitely would use a small amount and to
Hmm.
kind of see where it goes. But I've heard that it kind of can fade dark spots. So I would say go ahead and give it a try. So you guys have been with us all evening, and we thank you for tuning in to Entwine Couture Presents the BAN's Guide to All Things Fierce, Fabulous, and Fly, the Curly Girls RX to Winter Weary Hair. I have been your host for the evening, Brittany Oniki, and you definitely want to run over to Facebook and get in on the conversation and the giveaway. Naturals in Paris 2015. You definitely want to check it out, and you have to be in it to win it. And until next time, you can find me on Instagram at Makeup by Muse. Night. Good night, ladies.
Good night.
Good night.